live Fireside Chats. To celebrate 75 years of ISA, we are gathering some of our young professionals with some of our former presidents to reminisce about the past and look forward to the future. First, I'd like to thank Gerald for participating in the Young Professional Fireside Chats. And next, I would like for some of the Young Professional Committee members to introduce themselves.
Thanks, Karen. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Buskop. I've been actively involved as a full-time member with the ISA Houston section for the past 2 years. I currently serve as Education Director, and I'm also Social Media Chair for the Process Measurement and Control Division of ISA. I've been involved with the Young Professionals Committee with my fellow members since its inception in 2019.
And I am Emily Henry. I've been a member of ISA since 2018. I've gotten to be involved with a few different groups, such as the Digital Transformation Committee, the Young Professional Task Force, now its own committee, and I have also served as president of my local section, the Western Carolinas section. So it's been a great experience, and we're excited to speak with you today, Mr. Gerald.
And now, Gerald, if you would like to do a brief introduction.
Yeah, my name is Gerald Wilbanks, and I was president 25 years ago, in fact, in 1995. I've been a member of ISA since 1966, so I've been around a little. I got my 50-year award and so on and so forth. And I went to work in instrumentation and process control right out of college, and in Texas, by the way, at Union Carbide down at their Seadrill plant. And then I came to Birmingham, and I've been in Birmingham for over 50 years. But been involved with locally and nationally, and the local section. I'm the Honors and Awards Chair and the Education Chair here in Birmingham. So still involved in ISA. I love it, and I have and continue to do that. I think ISA must be my hobby at this time.
Well, we appreciate it that it is your hobby. So we'll go ahead and get started with our fireside chat. I'll just turn it over to Jacqueline and Emily.
Right. Got the pleasure of asking the first question. So during your term, how did you accommodate rapid technological and industrial advancements, such as the rise of the internet and smart technology into the society?
You pretty well hit it on the head. It was a time of rapid change right along in the mid-90s. Distributed control got started in the 80s, and the smart transmitters, microprocessors were coming in. And actually, I think we were just barely getting into the email, if you can believe this, in 1995. We had to do a lot of our stuff by mail and telephone and fax. We still thought fax was amazing, okay? And so yeah, we tried to look at the new technology, and we tried to tailor our training toward that. And then headquarters and the volunteers, we tried to update as fast as we could to the new technology. But there was a tremendous amount of change in 1995, 96, 98. And so it was quite a challenge on that, but we adapted. We started getting computers. We go plumb back to like 1990. We had a little bulletin board thing that people could post something on, and we moved from that into the new world. There, we tried to accommodate that as best we could.
And sort of around that, I guess if you were coming up with the rise of distributed control systems, what were some of the challenging parts of developing CCST, control system technician type certifications? Yeah,
that was a real challenge. We had we'd gotten the control systems PE exam in the late 80s. The first exam was in 1992, and so we had that going, and we supported that. But we started looking at certification, and I'll be honest, a lot of us was very scared about certification and I was one of them. Because I said, what if we certify Emily, and 3 years later she blows up the plant, because of something stupid that she did? Were they going to sue ISA? And we actually talked to lawyers and got it and said, and we became convinced that a certification was a validation of a level of competency and ability at that point in time. It's like a driver's license. if Jacqueline goes out and have a wreck, you can't sue Texas because she's got a Texas driver's license, you know. So anyway, we did, and Lowell McCall and some of the other education, Tom Stout, some of the other leaders, they brought that guy with IBEW. Seemed like there was another organization or two, and we met a lot in 1994. And actually, in the January board meeting of 1995, we actually approved the Certified Control Systems Technician certification. And that was a big, major step. That was one of the major things we did that year, I imagine, was that. And it did. It required a lot. Again, you couldn't have these Zoom meetings. You were sending stuff back and forth by mail and by telephone and fax, and it was a lot of coordination, a lot of face-to-face, and a lot of people were concerned. But we did that, and it's worked out to be a great thing. Great thing.
Well, you've gotten to see many milestones. We're currently in the 75th year of ISA. I believe during your presidency, you got to celebrate the 50th anniversary of ISA, which leads me into my question. What kinds of best practices or deliverables, like the milestones in measurement and control celebrating 50 years of ISA coffee table book, are most successful at engaging and increasing membership?
Yeah, that we wanted to make that a big year. It was 50 years. That's a silver anniversary. It's a magical time, and Glenn Harvey was the executive director, and we had a real active situation going then. So we picked out, first of all, this was back when we used to have what do you call it, little slogans. So I picked out involvement starts action, ISA. Big deal. Anyway, what we wanted to do, and I still try to do, and you guys are doing it, get involved in it. Don't just be a member. I mean, get involved in it. So we were trying to involve me. Then we had our big Go for the Gold membership drive. And what was that for? If you're ready for that, we were going to try to have our 50,000th member enlisted by the 50-year anniversary fall meeting in 1995. And so we had, if you got 2 members, you got a good mark, 3, you got a pencil or something. I don't remember, but we had all the members trying to recruit new members and try to go for the gold. We wanted to have 50,000 members, and we was going to make a big thing at the annual conference and exhibit and the Council of Society Delegate Leadership Conference in 1995 in New Orleans, by the way, and that's where we had it. Unfortunately, we ended up with like 49,830 or something like that. We didn't make 50,000. No, we didn't make it. We thought we did good, but we didn't make that. But that's the main thing we did in the coffee table book. In fact, I got one laying right back there on my table. It was really neat. It was sort of a combination, like a high school yearbook and history of the first 50 years, and about different sections, and had all the pictures of all the people and the guys. And you didn't see many ladies, by the way. They was the first president, I think, of a section was like in the 80s or something, and we started in 45. But anyway, all the guys had on ties and coats, and they wasn't dressed like this. And it was a great year. We almost made the 50,000, but it was a successful year. We ended up with over 49,000 members. But it was a different time. The box is different now. You got to color outside the box, and we tried to keep the ship pointed. We were wrestling with also whether we should have an annual conference and exhibit. We went to a spring and a fall, and that went on in 96, 97, 98. Then we changed back to one, and eventually we didn't have one. But that's all. We were trying to, in 1 year or 2 years, you don't change the direction of an ocean liner. You may steer it a little bit or move it some, and you try to hand it off to the next team and the next team and the next team. So that was our main goal. But that's the things we did to try to encourage membership. Yeah.
It's a great analogy. Yeah, I think still like we increase membership pretty frequently by word of mouth, like members encouraging new people. So
that's the way to do it.
Interesting to hear.
It is. That's why we said every member. What a couple years before that, we had a theme of every member get a member. You know, and mine was involvement start. So we get involved, talk to each other, and this was back in the days of large section meetings and lots of symposia and all that. And like you said, we still, word of mouth, you nailed it. That's the best way to get a member or an officer, either one, leader.
So you tried your best to kind of steer that ocean liner back when you were president. Over the 25 years up to now that we're celebrating the 75th anniversary, what would you say you see as the biggest changes in the society? What has really pushed that ocean liner in a different direction?
Oh, it's technology. I think technology mainly. A lot of it is people, even changes of communication and being able to talk without traveling, and some of that's been part of it. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people now think that between Google and the internet, that's all they need to get training and all. I grew up in the world where when I went to work, I walked in my boss's office the first day, and he said, "You are a member of ISA." And I said, "No, what is ISA?" He said, "You will know because you're fixing to become a member of it." Literally. And it was expected back then because all of my training and early exposure to instrumentation came from ISA. And it's still there today, the multitude of classes we have. And we've seen that progress from a few face-to-face classes through to where we have today multitudes of classes, face-to-face, instructor-led online, and now I'm even involved in what they call VILT. That is virtual instructor-led training. And I just finished one class back, 6 4-hour sessions in 2 weeks. And I'm fixing to start another one a week from Monday on the PE review class. And that's grueling. You sit like this for 4 hours. Of course, you take breaks, but there's no travel, and there's no expenses, and you can do your job in the morning and train in the afternoon. So there's a lot of good things to it. So we've tried to steer the ship and head it in that direction. But your question of what's changed, technology and people's expectations. People are not really joiners, I don't think now, like they used to be. But we find, just like Jack was talking about personal, we got 2 or 3 young women in our section now. One of them has just been the president. One is our webmaster, and she's fixing to be our treasurer. And we got them by saying, "Why don't you come be a part of ISA?" You can't just ask for volunteers. You've got to target. And so it's going to be a continual struggle to stay with the changing times and the overall economies and globalization. That became a big thing. That was just getting started back in the 90s, and you see where it's gone today. And I traveled to a lot of places back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and many of the foreign countries, they really look upon ISA membership as a real treasure. I mean, they're proud of it, just like, getting a certificate. I mean, they really are, whereas a lot of the North American people don't take it quite as seriously. But anyway, we just try to keep things pointed in that direction. Continuity of leadership. I can't overemphasize that, and I'm sure you've seen that in South Carolina and in Texas too. The value of people moving up and moving through, keeping that experience going, and all that type of thing. So yeah, it's been a struggle.
Yeah, along that vein, it sounds like you've done a lot of teaching and leading during your time in ISA. What leadership skills were most beneficial during your term, and what was your greatest personal takeaway from your presidency?
Yeah, in fact, I've taught a class a few times on leadership, and I talk about leadership, SHAPE. S being skills, H being heart, A being ability, P being passion, and E being experience. And all of those fit in together. And you know, you're talking about what's the most important. It's hard to really look at that. But if I looked at any one factor or characteristic that you look for somebody, it's commitment. Okay, commitment. Commitment is being involved and being bought into it, and you know, it's like you know, they say the chicken was involved in breakfast, right? But that pig, yeah, he was committed to breakfast. Okay, and you know, that use things like that, and commitment, and right behind that, as part of that, really is dependability and accountability and responsibility. Somebody that's willing to step up and do something. And one of my thoughts is that you know, people always find the time to do what they want to do. When I was president, there was no way that a person could be president of ISA and hold down a full-time job. I mean, how much spare time do you folks have, you know, outside of your job? Okay, you got some discretionary time, and what you've got to decide: am I going to go to eat? Am I going to meet my friends to go to a movie? Am I going to go dancing? You know, am I going on vacation? What am I going to do? And it's hard to convince somebody. Let's go to an ISA. You know, let's work half the night laying something. But see, I always looked at it. Somebody said, "Where'd you find the time?" Because I traveled about 10 weeks out of that 50 weeks. And I had a full-time job and a staff. And I said, well, you know, between midnight and 3 a.m., I'm usually not doing anything. You know, it's real quiet. You can get up and get a lot done. But you have to decide you want to do that. And so commitment, or the dedication, the regularity, being dependable and being responsible, I think, is the people that I met and the people that I got associated with and the friends that I have today. There would be no way that I could have done that or put a value on that. I've got friends literally all over the world, and certainly in the United States that I was in primarily, that I've had experiences with that I could write books about, and that was all because of ISA. But it's sort of like going to church. If you ease in the back row and listen and go home and don't do anything else till the next Sunday, that's one thing. But if you do that, get in a small group and get to meeting people and doing things, it's a lot of fun. And I'm a grouper, and I like to be around people. I like to see people do things, and I like to see people grow up and expand themselves. And that's the reason I teach the PE exam review, because I think one of the most important in career development that a member of ISA, or not necessarily a member, but a person in our profession, is to get certified or get licensed as an engineer. That's very important in their professional development. And I like to encourage people and try to tell them to do that. So yes, I took away a lot of friendships. I took a lot of leadership skills out of that. You learn everything that you do. One of the things that you have to learn, and I had to learn this hard, is how to delegate. I like to do stuff myself, you know, and it was hard to say, Ron, how about you taking care of that? Then you sort of wait to see what happens. And you must do that, because they must learn, and you tell them to, what you do is don't overload them, and you tell them to ask you if they need help, but don't try to micromanage. So, and that's a long answer of saying that, but commitment, and what I took away was the ability to, you know, delegate, and also the friendships and past experiences that I had.
I heard in those leadership skills something that sounded sort of like core values as well, and I'm curious how you ensure an organization and the activities that organization does stay aligned with those core values?
I think that's where it's important to have a clear, I'll call it a mission, a vision, if you will, and then have some goals and objectives. And if something's coming up, or you're looking at doing something or taking part in, if it does not work toward one of those things that you're looking at, for instance, at our church has a vision is just one more. That's it, just one more. And we're going to do everything that we can to get one more person to become a member and become a believer in what we believe, okay? You say, well, if you get one more, I say, yeah, you want just one more, So you need anytime somebody brings up a program, if we don't see that it's going to fit that value of getting one more or involving people or train, well, we don't do it. We don't do it just because it's nice. If you ask any one of us what we think ISA or anybody should be doing, you get all kind of different answers. But you must look and say, okay, is it in the training area? Is it going to help spread the information that we would talk about? Is it going to bring more people into the society? Is it going to develop our leadership skills? You got to look at all of that. And is it going to develop the technical ability of sharing? So yeah, that's very important. And don't start chasing rabbits, with everything and trying to be everything to everybody. So that's what you have to do, is make sure that anything that's being done is for the betterment of what your goal is. Now, and the trouble is, too many people set goals too wide, and you can't be everything to everybody. That's the reason you need to have some goals and objectives that are definable. And I think ISA's done a good job. The recent leaders, I think, have done a good job. They got mission statements and some of that's pretty well defined. We know what our core values are. And we've made changes over the years. Of course, y'all would not realize that, but when I was nominated in 1993, we met in Chicago, Illinois for the annual conference and exhibit. We had 250,000 square feet of exhibit, and 30,000 people attended in Chicago. In New Orleans in 1995, when I was president, we had, I think it was 225,000 square feet, and about 25,000 people attended. Now, is that good? Well, it was at that time. Is it good today? Well, it's a different world today. The marketing's different. The sales are different. The vertical shows are different. So I say we made changes over the year. We scaled down, we scaled over, we changed around, got into the seminar business now. We run in seminars. We used to have three. We used to have a winter, summer, and fall meeting. We all went to those. And we had like 200, 250 people go from sections and districts and divisions. And that started costing money. And first we dropped one of the meetings. And now I think I'm right. You have the spring meeting, and that's mainly for the core leadership. And then you do have the annual leadership conference. Well, you do when you don't have a pandemic, but you have it in the fall, okay? And they're going to do the Council Society delegates, so it's going to be done remotely. And I think it's going to be great, And over the years, we've had to change our, get out of the box, and change is never liked by everybody, okay? That's a hard thing to deal with, is change. And because somebody's probably going to lose something, and they don't like that. But we've done that, and it's worked out very good. And so I think that's what you've got to do, is keep a focus on those core values and evaluate anything that's going to be done according to that. And that'll help you stay in line. But that's easier said than done. Easier said than done.
Right. Takes some backing it up.
Oh yeah, you're making me miss the annual leaders meeting. I wish it was happening this year, and that's really great that you had so many opportunities to have so many different kinds of meetings.
Oh
It
yeah.
sounds like you took a lot of chances booking spaces, for such large groups of people. So along that line, what was the greatest risk you took as president, and what was the outcome?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's another thing people don't like to take is risk. I look at risk rewards, and that's the reason I think, or I considered the certification situation a very risky situation. We were going to put a lot of money into it, and it had a long delivery time. And would people like it and abide with it? Well, they did, and it's been successful. Maybe not quite the numbers we want, but from there we got on into later on the CAP, Certified Automation Professional, and a good friend of mine, Vern Trevathan out of St. Louis, was the daddy rabbit of that, I guess you'd say. And I helped out on that, and I still feel strongly about the CAPS. But at that time, certification was a real stranger to us. And so if anything, that was probably as big a risk as I had. The organization, though, is not based on one person. It's the joint effort of many people. I had an executive board. In fact, the other day I walked up. I've got a what do they call it? It's a silver bowl, and my wife put it in a shadow box. Anyway, it's got everybody's name engraved in that. On my board that year, there was either 5 or 6 that went on to be president of ISA in later years. And I was proud of that because I felt like I did just a little bit to help them out. But they did a lot that year, making good decisions, sound decisions, and then more people came. The continuity of leadership is so important because you do just make some adjustments and all. So risk-wise, I don't think we had any real risk other than probably the certification, and it worked out pretty well.
Indeed. So when you talk about those leaders making sound decisions and being so important to surround yourself with those helpful people, what do you think is one of the most important characteristics in a leader?
I think, well, if you look at, you have to look at the definition of a leader, and everybody is a leader one way or the other, okay? It may be you may lead your family, you may lead something at work, you may lead something in your social life. Yeah, somebody's looking up to you and seeing what you do and following your example. And that's really what a leader does, is set the example. One of the definitions was a leader inspires people to go to places they wouldn't want to go by themselves, and after they get there, they want to go back again and again. And that's like in a section, if you can get some people inspired to do things and take on little projects and work at it, or on a national level, either one, I think that's very important. So I think setting a good example, and don't do like some of the politicians I hear about all the time. Don't, do what I say, not what I do, okay? And you can't live that way. You got to do what you do, and set a good example. And that's just like when I was manager controlled systems at Rust Engineering, and I had about 150 people, and out there working engineers and designers on about 25 different projects. And I didn't know what half of them was doing. I had to delegate and trust them because I had to make sure that they had everything they needed to get the job done. You need to remove barriers, communicate, make everything clear, and then let people do their thing, But you've got to make sure the part I said about making expectations clear, removing barriers, and providing assistance as they need. And I'd have guys tell me, boy, you kept me employed for a number of years. I said, no, you kept me employed for a number of years because you were doing the work, And I'd run into people at Sears and Roebuck or whatever, back when we had one of those, Wally World or whatever, and they'd have their wife, they'd say, I want you to meet my boss. Oh, I hated that word. Oh. I said, I'd say, yes, Jim and I, or Bob and I, or Sarah and I, we work together at Rust Engineering. I've got my job, he's got his, because I didn't like to be called a boss. And that's like when I first went there, the design groups were divided up into squads. They had squad leaders, which was a lead person, and then designers and engineers. We changed that to design leader, not a squad leader. That's military, and this is not military. It's military is great, and military has to be that way, but in engineering and design work, it doesn't have to be. So anyway, that I think is what's important for a leader to realize. They're setting an example, and whoever they're involved with, whether it's a family, or whether it's an extended group or a social group or the Civitans or whatever, is set a good example, remove barriers, and encourage them to do their job. So that's the way I look at it.
That's some great advice. So if I remember correctly, your employer introduced you to ISA. That's my follow-up, is what made you want to become president?
Yeah. That's always a good question. I'm not really sure. That it really is not. It's I've looked back at that. I thought right now, well, not just right now, but for the last 15 years, why would anybody want to be president of the United States? You have to be sort of kooky, okay? And I don't know, I guess I was driven by the desire to try to be effective and help the society out. And I just thought that, that'd be a good place to do it. So several people suggested, and I said, okay, we'll take a shot at it. And but it is something, and you can have the wrong motives for that. I didn't need position. I didn't need power. I didn't need recognition. I didn't need popularity. I was working for a top drawer engineering firm. I had a nice job, made enough to put food on the table, had 150 people. I loved my company. I got all the recognition, had all the responsibility that I wanted. And like I said, in reality, there is not enough time for a person to be president of ISA and do their job. I'm talking about 40, 50 hours a week. I'm serious, you can't do it. And I reported directly to the president of our company at the time that I actually got this, because I had been promoted to vice president. So I didn't have a staff of 15 or 20 people instead of 150. And even then, by the time I got and by the way, being president is not a one-year commitment. It is a 5-year commitment. You got the elect, then you're president, then you're past president, then 2 former years you're going to be doing honors and awards and something else, if I can remember what it is. Anyway, it's a 5-year commitment. And by the time I was getting almost through with that 5th year, my president of the company was saying, Gerald, how much longer does this go on, And because my company supported me very well, both with funds and time. And it just was a real good, they wanted me to do that because they felt like it was a good development for me, just like you people with your companies. Developing leadership skills, expanding your technical background and all is very important. And what I got a charge out of in life was seeing people much like you come to work and watching them knit together a career and later be head of a department here or the chief over there or outstanding leader over there. And I really, that really meant a lot to me. And I guess I just wanted to do the same thing with ISA. In other words, you have to be sort of Looney Tunes to do it, but I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Well, I'm glad all the hours you put in were so fruitful. I mean, we're very glad to have your wisdom.
Yeah, thank you for being a little Looney Tunes.
Well, I enjoyed it, and as I've said, I know that you hear the old baseball thing. What is baseball been belly good to me? ISA is you'll get back a lot more than you put in. So y'all just keep it up, and you find ways to do it, and you're doing things that's going to help you with your career, not just technical, but I meant other ways too, leadership skills and all that. So I'm very impressed with young automation professionals, yaps, I think y'all are called. I hadn't been a yap, but I don't know. I was never a yap, I don't think. Anyway, but I'm very impressed. Like I said, we have several young people in our leadership in Birmingham, and several of us older ones too. We try to be the advisory board and let them move right along. So of course, I consider anybody young it's less than, 45 is less is young to me. I told one of our guys the other day out there, I said, I've got socks older than you are, but he's
I've been told something like that before, but with boots. And I said, well, you probably need new boots.
Yeah, there you go. But it comes from all different places, and you can learn and they learn. And that's what I told some of the guys. I just wrapped up that class today, and I'm getting a little dark in here. I wrapped up that class today, and I told them, I said, you never, if you ever stop learning, you're dead. Every time I teach that class, and I've taught it since 1992, so that's 28 years, and I average teaching it 4 to 5 times a year. So I've taught it maybe 100 times. Every time we go through it, I say, I didn't notice that. I learned something about safety instrumented systems or about networks, because some of these people are experts in that. Like you guys, I'm sure y'all know a lot more about like networking and connectivity and all that kind of stuff, and exercise valves and stuff like that. So, everybody has some skills and things that they learn, so it's all good. So I just encourage you to continue to look at that and cultivate your skills.
Well, that kind of leads into our last question. We were wondering what you would give advice to young professionals who are looking to become leaders.
Okay, that's ties right in. I'd advise anybody to first of all be a member of ISA or a technical society like that. But the part I said earlier, get involved, be involved. Networking, that may be a buzzword to a lot of people. But later on in my career, several years back, things wasn't exactly like I wanted to be, so I left the company that bought us, and I hadn't made many job changes, but I left. And I'd always wanted to be in sales, and I'd always wanted to be in business for myself. And I got that opportunity. And I went into business with another guy, a small engineering firm, which I'm still doing, mainly a one-person firm now. But we did that, and my son and I bought a manufacturer's rep company that he worked for. So I had 2 full-time jobs. I had the manufacturer's rep, and what I'm getting around to saying is networking led me to a lot of opportunities, both in projects and things to do and how to do it. Networking, personal, one-to-one, can never be downplayed. Knowing a Jim Garrison or a Sherry or somebody later on down the road, they may be over here doing something, and you say, well, it might mean a job, might mean a position. Also, besides networking, then is I think the technical training that you have your meetings and things like that, books and study courses and all that is important. And then the leadership skills, be dependable, be regular, take on things and try to do that. I think that's very important. And then I mentioned, I think earlier, be looking, I don't know where either one of y'all or any of you guys have a certification or a PE license yet, but there's always time for that. And it's a good thing to have. It's a good thing to have, because then that is yours. You ask Jim Garrison, you take it with you, you know. And while you may never want to leave the company you're with now, you guys have got a lot of years ahead of you that you may decide to do different things. And that certification, they did a survey here a couple of 3 years ago of automation professionals and controls, and they did a salary survey, a year's experience and where they were and all that. They was talking about things that was really important, and they left out certification and licensing. So I wrote a letter to the editor in Tech Magazine, and I blistered them pretty good. I said, you left out a key thing, and they went back. They had that in the survey, but they didn't use it in the article. Licensed professional engineers average making over $15,000 a year, more than those that were not licensed. And those with certifications, I believe they average making $7,000 or something a year more than those that didn't have a certification. So I can't overemphasize that. I think it's very, very important. So no matter what your experience level is, no matter what you're doing, it's just like having a college degree or a high school diploma. It don't guarantee you anything, but it can open doors and enable you to get places you'd like to be. So that'd be what I'd advise.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Awesome. And actually, Emily just got her PE.
I did last year.
Did you? Well,
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did you get the control systems or
I did.
electric control systems?
Yes, sir.
Well, great. Did Jim Garris help you a little bit?
He helped me with some study materials, and I really appreciate all the teaching you do. I didn't get to take your class directly, but I think it helped influence my study regime.
Well, that's good. Well, that's congratulations. Yeah, that's what I tell them in the class. Unfortunately, I always like to shake them up when we first start. I say, you realize that by taking this class, you are guaranteed to pass the test. They'll all look like that, you know, and I'd say, but I lie a lot, and I just lied right then because I said, most of you can pass the test anyway. This is to help you embellish it a little bit, you know. And,
Yep.
So that's great. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. Well, certifications and licenses are good steps to make. They can never take it away from you, and it's good to have. It's good to have. I hope you're not looking for a job anytime soon, but if you
Nope.
are, you've got it there. And Jackie, you've got something to look forward to there. See, you can look forward to a certification or a PE license or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an engineer, but I'm definitely looking to get certified in my field.
Well, that's fine. It's certification in anything, and you're working in a different kind of field, and that's fine too. Leadership skills are good all across the board, so that's good. That's very good. Okay, but that's what I'd have on that.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Gerald, for joining us today with our Fireside Chats with former presidents. And as always, thank you for your continued support of ISA. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. I was looking forward to this, and good to meet a couple of younger folks that are active and working in ISA, and I commend y'all for that. Karen, keep up the good work up there at the RTP. And it's a great organization, and you'll get more out of it than you put into it, I guarantee you. But that's good. So thank you very much.
It's great meeting you.
All right, good meeting y'all.